Welcome back to the Trey Show. How y'all doing? It's been a while since y'all heard from me. I don't have an excuse. It is what it is. But we're back. Hopefully, I'm gonna start a new routine, new schedule. The goal is to do some shorter episodes, a couple times a week. I think that'll work the best. After the week of football, before the next week, at the end of October, NBA games will start, so we'll get into some of that stuff. But let's not waste any time, and let's start with Jon Gruden. So, Jon Gruden has been fired today by the Las Vegas Raiders for some of the remarks that he made in emails dating from 2012 to 2019, which the latter part of that he was with the Raiders for. And these emails were sent to Washington football team executive Bruce Smith, and these emails he used racist remarks, sexist remarks, and homophobic remarks about people around the league, just typical old white stuff. And he was fired today for it. And I think that a lot of people are of the opinion that it was the right thing to do, and I agree with those people. And then there are some people who say, this was 10 years ago, this and that. But the thing to remember is that 10 years ago, Jon Gruden was 49. He was 49 still. So it's not like he grew up and, changed over the course of that 10 years. He was a 50-year-old man. If that's how he is, then that's how he's gonna be, and there isn't really a whole lot of changing that. And it is what it is. And the next thing is that once those other emails came out on Sunday, and then yesterday or today they came out, or I guess yesterday, since I will be seeing this on Tuesday, probably Wednesday, he had to be let go. The NFL is really, they spent a lot of time, a lot of public outcry on the end racism stuff. It takes all, I don't remember what it is exactly, but they have a lot of these new slogans starting off with after George Floyd was killed, and pairing up with the Colin Kaepernick movement, even though Colin Kaepernick doesn't have a job, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, he had to be let go, especially because the Raiders coincidentally are the team with the first openly gay player in the NFL, Carl Nassib, who is actually having a great season. Nassib is depth pass rush, and so he's not going to put up starting numbers, but in that role, he actually is playing really well this year for the Raiders. I'm trying to pull up his stats, but I don't think he played this week. But he's had a couple sacks. He had the game-winning sack against Lamar Jackson week 1. So shout out to Carl Nassib for being who he is and still producing on the field. And especially because, in the world we live in, if he wasn't producing on the field, people would have some stuff to say to him. But yeah, in 5 games, he has 9 tackles, a sack and a half, a forced fumble. So he's been playing well. There's nothing you can really say against Carl Nassib. And like I said, he's not a starter. He is depth for the Raiders. He's not a starter. So you can't really ask for much else from a depth defensive lineman than having a couple sacks and a forced fumble in 5 weeks. But Jon Gruden had to be fired. I think that it was the right thing to do. And ultimately, I think that it was the only thing that the Raiders could do is fire Jon Gruden. I don't think there's a universe where Jon Gruden is able to stay the Raiders head coach. Like I said, they have Carl Nassib, and the NFL is 70% black at this point. So he had to be let go, especially, after the emails today and the emails on Sunday came out. And, with a lot of times when people like John Gruden get in the situation, it's he say, she say, right? And that really saves a lot of them. But these were like hard emails that, you know, they have his name attached. Like, there's no denying them. It's on paper, pretty much. And, you know, for lack of a better term, he got caught up. And I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is a cover up. This is this and that." But the thing that I think people need to understand is that nobody was out to get John Gruden. The Washington football team executive was being investigated, and Gruden sent these emails to that executive, and that's how they found out about this. Nobody was investigating John Gruden. It wasn't like some vindictive person comes out later with this stuff and, you know, and uses it to stop John Gruden's career. Like, this was a complete, not accident, but this was not the intent to find this stuff. It just kind of happened. And like I said, the Raiders made the only decision I think they could make, and that was to move on from Gruden. But now we move on to some of the action from last week. So the Rams beat the Seahawks 26-17, and the game is one thing. Neither team really looked that impressive, especially the Rams. They were held to only 3 points in the first half. But the main story from this is that Aaron Donald adds another name to his gravestone of quarterback hands that he has destroyed. Drew Brees, there was one more I forget off the top of my head, and then now Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson will be out 6 to 8 weeks. And honestly, this feels like something that could save Pete Carroll's job, because the Seahawks, as it stands right now, are 2-3, and if you watch them play, they are just obviously the worst team in that division. And you know, you can take that how you want to take that, because the NFC West is so good. The Cardinals, the Rams, and the 49ers are all really good teams. So that being last in that division maybe doesn't have the same effect as it would be in another division. But all in all, the Seahawks are the worst team in that division, and this could save Pete Carroll's job at the end of the day. Moving on to the Jets and Falcons game. This was in England. The Falcons came out to a 17-0 lead. The Jets, I'm going to keep it real, this game is early for me, especially on the West Coast, so I didn't catch a lot of it. But the Falcons were up 20-7 at halftime. No, 20-3 at halftime. So there's nothing really they could do. The Jets, it's almost comical how bad the Jets are. Like, the Jets have been bad for so long. Like, since the Mark Sanchez days and the Rex Ryan days, the Jets have just been bad at football. And even right now, there just doesn't seem to be a way out, you know? Like, Zach Wilson was 19 of 32 for 192, no touchdowns and a pick. Sacked twice. They have no running game. They have no running backs on the roster. They have receivers. They have a weapon, an absolute weapon in Denzel Mims, but they don't play him. Like, Denzel Mims has the opportunity, has the physical tools to be a number one receiver in this league. He has the frame, he has the speed, but the Jets they didn't play him last year. They're not going to play him this year. He had 2 catches this game, and I don't understand. But I am not a Jets fan, so I can blissfully say that I don't care. The Lions lose to the Vikings in the most Lions way possible. The Lions actually took the lead in this game. They scored 10 unanswered to take a 17-16 lead in this game. With a minute left, 37 seconds left. And they did Lion things, and they ended up losing the game on a last-second field goal. And, you know, I just feel for Dan Campbell, because the Lions are playing hard. They're in these games, but they just don't have the talent. Like, they are just outmatched in every game they play, and that's not his fault. And I just hope that the Ford family can see that and can see that it's not Dan Campbell's fault and that he keeps getting this opportunity. Justin Jefferson had his first huge game of the season. I guess he did against Seattle too, but he had 7 catches for 124. Justin Jefferson is a top 5 receiver in this league, and he's not 5. Let me just let y'all sit on that for a little bit. Top 5, it is not 5. The Steelers beat the Broncos. Everyone knew, I think, that the Broncos weren't for real. They beat the Jets. I think they beat the Vikings, and they beat the Jaguars to start the year. They were 3-0. And they have since fallen back to earth. They made Big Ben look like he wasn't about to retire in the middle of the season like Vontae Davis for the first time all year. And it takes a lot of talent to do that. And, you know, that's what the Broncos were able to do. 15 of 25 for 253, 2 touchdowns for Big Ben. Bridgewater was decent. He had a pick, but he had 2 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. The Steelers won. They're not maybe the Steelers aren't dead yet. That brings them to 2-3 on the year, but there isn't really a whole lot to say there. The Titans killed the Jaguars. Fun fact, the Jaguars have a -10 turnover ratio so far this year. They have 11 turnovers to only 1 takeaway. So I thought that was pretty fun information for y'all to know. This is the Trey Show where you get facts. Nothing but facts. The Eagles beat the Titans. This was a comeback win. The Titans were really leading this game for most of it. And, you know, the Eagles score they were down 15-6, and they score 13 straight to win this game. They scored 13-3 to end this game. The Panthers, everyone thought they were for real. They are not for real. I knew that as a Saints fan. Sam Darnold had 3 picks. He's going back to the way he is. We all knew that he wasn't the answer. He might be the answer. I don't know that he's the long-term answer, but I do know that he will be better than he was in the Jets. Yeah, that's all I have to say. He'll be better than he was on the Jets. Tom Brady renewed his lease on the owner of the Dolphins this week, 45-17, and this Tua injury might cost Tua in the long run, because this year they really surrounded him with weapons to try to see if he was the guy, and then he gets his ribs absolutely shattered due to no fault of his own, and now the team is, are they 2-3 or 1-4? They are 1-4. So already you figure playoffs are a stretch, especially if Tua misses the next couple weeks. And if they have a high draft pick with the rumors of Deshaun Watson and drafting a quarterback, it's hard to believe that the Dolphins don't draft a quarterback if they have the opportunity. And Tua could be like Josh Rosen and what are some other, Gardner Minshew, but he wasn't drafted high, of these quarterbacks that are taken early and then replaced not too far after. And I can't blame them for doing that. The Patriots beat the Texans by 3. It was a come-from-behind victory. This is another game where it looked like the Texans were going to run away from the Patriots, and then Mac Jones leads them all the way back. As a Cam Newton stan, I don't like the fact that Cam Newton is not the quarterback of this team. I do feel like the Patriots would have more wins if Cam Newton was the quarterback of the team. However, I think that Cam Newton was never going to be the long-term answer. He's just not a guy who's going to play till 40. That's really he's just not that guy. He takes too many hits. He's not an accurate enough thrower of the football. And so the quarterback of the future is Mac Jones. And this is invaluable development that Mac Jones is getting. And I think that that's the main thing the Patriots were looking for. The Bengals lost to the Packers 22-25 in a game where there was 5 straight missed kicks that could have won games. But what did I just say? The Bengals lost to the Packers by 3 points in overtime and had many opportunities to win the game. These are not your grandfather's Bengals. These are not your father's Bengals. These aren't the Bengals that you watched growing up. This team is fun to watch. The Bayou Boys, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they're lighting it up every week. This team is really fun to watch, and the defense is playing well. You limit Aaron Rodgers to 25 points. I think you're doing a good job. It's just Mike Brown. I think Mike Brown is his name. The owner of the Bengals is one of those guys who has never spent money, but I hope that he can see what he has right now and how special that this team can be. And I just hope that he can continue to build around this quarterback and this wide receiver and this running back, because it seems like for once the Bengals got it right. Joe Burrow is that guy, and I hope that they capitalize. The Saints beat Washington 33-22. To start the game, Jameis Winston threw a pick where Andrews Pete was standing on his ankle, and I'm one of the people that really think that Sean Payton needs to loosen up on Jameis Winston. I think that he's way too hard on him, and he doesn't trust him. And point blank, that's why the Saints lost last week to the Giants, is because Sean Payton decided to only throw the ball twice in the fourth quarter of that game when you were only up 11. And I think that was the main factor of the Saints losing that game. And so this week, Jameis Winston throws the pick, and they follow that up with a 72-yard bomb to Deontay Harris behind the defense. And Deontay Harris, once Michael Thomas comes back, Deontay Harris is going to be a premier deep threat in the NFL. And you can book that because this is the third or fourth time this year where he's just gotten behind the whole defense and has caught a touchdown pass. And it's just great to see. Y'all need to boost his Madden rating because he's getting behind the defense, and he only has 91 speed in Madden, and we are seeing that is just ridiculous, that he should have way more than 91 speed. But one campaign at a time. Alvin Kamara is showing what he can do back as the focal point of offense. He had 130 yards last week on the ground, 120 yards last week on the ground, but he had no catches. This week he's back to being who Kamara is. He had 16 rushes for 71 yards, 5 catches for 51 yards. A typical Kamara game, 2 touchdowns. Marquez Callaway showed flashes of who he could be. 4 catches for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Marquez Callaway thing to me is he had so much hype because of the preseason game going into the season, but he hasn't lived up to that. And for me, I don't think it's fair to say that, because it's so hard to ask someone to go from a undrafted depth wide receiver to a number 1 wide receiver. Once Michael Thomas comes back and he's the number 1 and he's taking attention away, I think Marquez Callaway will thrive. And Well, he's gonna be matched up on 2s and 3s and not 1s, and I think that'll go a long way into seeing who he really can be in the NFL, because he's not a superstar wide receiver. He's just not, and that's not a knock on him. There's only 10 or 12 superstar wide receivers in the NFL for a reason, and not everyone can be that guy. But I think Marquez Callaway can be a consistent 2 or 3 in this league. And once Michael Thomas comes back, I think he can show that. Jameis Winston played well in this game. They actually let him throw the ball. He threw 30 times, 280, 4 touchdowns. Typical Jameis things. They need to let him hoop. But the MVPs for this game for the Saints were Marshawn Lattimore, who had 6 passes defensed, only 3 passes allowed, against Terry McLaurin, who is one of the premier wide receivers in football, and the punter Blake Gilligan. And Blake Gilligan had 3 punts inside the 5. Enough said. Game ball. I hope that Pat McAfee gave him the love that he deserves this week on his show, and because he was really the MVP for the Saints. Taylor Heineke is not the guy for Washington. He's cool right now because he's on your roster, and I understand that, but he's not the long-term answer. I can say that Taylor Heineke lost them some games this year. I think he's lost them at least twice, and this was one of those games where it was just missed throws. There was 3 or 4 throws where Taylor Heineke just missed. He overthrew or he underthrew on some passes that would have been big plays for the team, and you can't have that from your starter. He threw 2 picks in this game. He's not the long-term answer, and I hope that for Washington's sake that they understand that and can move forward. But after the playoff game last year, there's nothing wrong with Washington kicking the tires and seeing what they have, but it is becoming evident that you don't have much in Taylor Heineke, at least not to be a long-term starter. The Raiders and the Bears almost seemed like a wash, with all the stuff with John Gruden going on. It just didn't seem like the Raiders were very interested in playing football, and you could tell that from the start. The team looked lethargic. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. Derek Carr only had 200 yards. Waller only had 4 catches. Jacobs pounded the ball 15 times for 48 yards. The Bears didn't play that well. It was just Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack had a bunch of sacks. It felt like every time the Raiders were in scoring position or, just in position to do anything on offense, Khalil Mack, ruined that and said, "This is what you guys get for trading me." The Chargers and the Browns, I think it's evident that the Browns don't trust Baker. And that ended up losing them the game. It was the fourth quarter. The Browns defense couldn't stop the Chargers all day. And, neither could the Chargers. This was a really high-scoring game, 42-47. But there was a 3rd and 10 for the Browns, and the Browns ran the ball. They did not trust Baker. They ran the ball, and admittedly, as you would expect, the Chargers stopped them. They punted. Justin Herbert scores the game-winning touchdown, and that's all she wrote for the Browns this game. And the interesting part is that the Chargers went for it on 4th and 7 near their own territory, and they picked it up. And I think that just shows you the contrast between when a quarterback has trust and when a quarterback doesn't have trust. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this game. The Cardinals beat the 49ers 17-10. It's a divisional game. That's kind of what you expect. Trey Lance's debut, he had 15 of 29 for a 192 and an interception, 16 carries for 90 yards. He played well. This is kind of what you expect from a Shanahan offense. So he ran the ball a lot. He played well. The Cardinals look damn good this year. That brings them to 5-0. And I don't know who beats the Cardinals. The Cardinals create so many matchup problems and are so good on defense that it just seems like it's going to take a special team to beat them. And there's not very many of those teams this year. The Cowboys might be for real. They beat the Giants 44-20. The most interesting part of this game is that Saquon left with injury again. And thank God that it was only a minor injury. He'll only be out a couple weeks. But it looked horrendous. It looked like he shattered his ankle in like 6 places. It was a bad roll. And Daniel Jones left this game with a concussion early on in the second half, I want to say. Let me see. Let me not tell you guys false information. Yeah, he only had 13 plays. So, yeah, early on in the game, he got injured. The Bills destroyed the Chiefs 38-20 on Sunday Night Football. The Bills. Well, let's start off with the Bills because they're better. Josh Allen is picking up right where he left off. 15-26, 315, 3 touchdowns, 11 carries for 59 yards. Led the team in rushing. He's that guy. He's gonna win MVP this year, I think. Him and Kyler are really battling right now, but the Bills are a real contender, and I think that as the season goes on, if injuries allow, there we go, the Bills will probably win the AFC, definitely win their division. The Chiefs are a mess right now. They have the league worst defense. They're giving up 7 yards a play. Mahomes looks figured out. He's sloppy. He's turning the ball over. And this is just something we haven't seen from the Chiefs before. So we don't know if they will turn it around because we've never seen this from them. This is now the second or third game in a row where they just don't look in sync. They don't look like they're not playing like the team they should be. And I think that's pretty evident. On Monday Night Football, the Ravens beat the Colts 31-25 in overtime to improve to 4-1. Lamar Jackson had his best day ever as quarterback. 37 of 43, 4 pass touchdowns, 442 yards, 1 fumble lost. So they started off really sloppy. Lamar lost a fumble early. He led the team in rushing. Their rushing streak was actually snapped this game. So the Broncos I bet the Broncos feel really good right now. Mark Andrews led them with receiving for 11 for 147. Hollywood Brown had 9 for 125. On the Colts side of things, Carson Wentz had 402 and 2 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson dominated the second half. The Ravens scored 21. The Ravens scored 24 unanswered to win this game, including overtime. And they scored. Let me see. Let me do some quick math. I'm not good at math, people, so bear with me. They scored the final 28 points of the game. 28-3 in the second half to win this game. Mic drop. Lamar Jackson is that guy. I don't think at this point you can deny it. You can try, but Lamar Jackson is he's good at this sport that we call football. He's good at quarterback, 400 yards, 37 of 43, 4 passing touchdowns. I mean, you can hate on Lamar all you want. He is top 10. He's top 6 or 7, I would say. I'll go through the list right here of guys I would take over Lamar Jackson are Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, nobody in the AFC South, nobody in the AFC North, Josh Allen, but even Josh Allen is right up there. They both. Lamar Jackson has an MVP, Josh Allen doesn't. Josh Allen will probably get one this year, but Well, I'm gonna count him on the list though. 3 rankings because I think Josh Allen is better. In the AFC North, Aaron Rodgers, even though that's debatable in my opinion. Russell Wilson. AFC East, nobody in the AFC South. Oh, Brady, I guess, if you want to count that. So 6, 7. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is that guy. So that was week 5. I will preview week 6 on later on this week. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make beautiful art. Count your money, count your chickens, as Marshawn Lynch said, and just have a beautiful time. I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.